Welcome to the Garden Angelist, where we talk about flowers, veggies, and all the best dirt. I'm Dee Ash from Guthrie, Oklahoma.
And I'm Carol Michael from Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, Dee.
Hello, Carol.
It's podcast episode number 41. And you have rain and I don't. And you're in Oklahoma and I'm in Indiana. And I'm going to call not fair.
Oh, I think it is fair. We've been 103 for a week. It's okay that we got a cold front and got rain and you didn't. That's the way it goes.
We got clouds, but no rain. And I heard a lot of thunder last night. And I poured like 2 drops of water out of the rain gauge this morning. Hardly worth walking out there to do.
Yeah, this is the world's littlest violin. Feeling sorry for you. Not really.
Oh, well. I keep reminding myself that I live in paradise.
Yeah, okay. Keep telling yourself that. All right, so do you want to do our quote for the day, or do you want me to do it?
I'm going to do the quote.
Go for it.
Because last time we had a really long one. This one's really short. Gardeners, I think, dream bigger dreams than emperors. By Mary Cantwell, who was an editor and writer for the New York Times and also an author. I love that. We do dream big.
I do too. We do. We do dream big. Every year in the spring, we think, well, even in the winter, we think it's going to be the perfect gardening year. And for that time, until things start to happen, it is the perfect gardening year.
Exactly. I dream big dreams. I've got all kinds of dreams for my garden. Some of them I actually follow through on, and some of them I don't.
Me too. And I just bought some more houseplants this week, so that tells you where some of my other dreams lie. Oh, and some more pelargoniums came to my house in the mail. And Bill said, "More plants?" And I said, "Yes." And he just walked away.
Huh. You'd think after all these decades, he would be used to that.
Yeah, hope springs eternal that maybe I won't take the credit card and go buy some other plant.
Oh.
What flower are we talking about today?
Girlfriend, you need to learn how to spend cash only on your plant purchases. Cash is not traceable. Cash doesn't come back on a credit card statement that Bill can hold up and say, "Hey, Dee." So, yeah, I'm telling you, cash.
Well, the boxes still come. He sees the boxes. Because, see, he's semi-retired now, so he just shows up at the house these days. Middle of the day, I never know when he's going to come home.
That's true. Well, let's talk about our flower. Talk about things you never know when they're going to just show up. They kind of show up as a nice surprise this time of year. And, of course, we're talking about the surprise lilies.
Yes, the surprise lilies, also known as naked ladies, resurrection lilies. There are so many names.
Magic lilies.
And it's Lycoris.
Magic lilies.
Yep. And it's Lycoris radiata, or there's another one, Lycoris squamigera. And then there's even another one, too.
Well, we'll get to some other ones. But I call it Lycoris.
Oh, well, I looked it up on the Missouri Botanical Garden. And they said Lycoris. But if you want to call it Lycoris, go ahead. Go ahead.
Lycoris squamigera is the only one that I have in my garden. And it is a lovely pink.
I have both. I have that one. And I have radiata, which is red.
The radiata ones, I've heard them also called schoolhouse lilies because sometimes they bloom around the time that school is starting. Are your radiatas in bloom?
Actually, they are not in bloom today. My pink ones just finished, but the radiatas will come. It'll be very soon, like in the next couple of weeks.
When school starts.
So, yeah, right in time for school.
Well, I have the squamigera, and they've been blooming for about 2 weeks. I saw the first ones come up, and I always love when they come up, although when they come up, it's sort of like we're getting on the downhill side of summer. But the thing that makes these called surprise lilies or resurrection lilies is, of course, that the foliage comes up in the spring and then dies down, and then you forget about it, and then up pops this long stem, and some of them are almost 3 feet tall in my garden with these beautiful white, and I'll call them amaryllis type flowers because they are amaryllis family.
Yes, they're part of the family. Yeah. And interestingly, I think most people, well, this is what happened to me. So I saw them blooming somewhere, and I thought, oh, I've got to have those because that's what I do. And I planted the bulbs, and then it took a couple of years before they bloomed, because they don't really like to be disturbed much, so sometimes it takes 2 years. So it took 2 years, and then all of a sudden these crazy leaves came out that were blue-green and kind of big and flat. And it comes out in the spring when other tulips, like at the end of the tulips here. And I thought, what are those? And then I just left them because I know myself, gardener, know thyself. And I thought I planted something there because it looks too tidy to be a weed, right? And then in the spring, and then in the fall, all of a sudden I had those pink. I first had pink, and then eventually I got red. And they both have similar growth patterns. So if you buy the bulbs, and you probably will after you see the pictures because they are so cute, don't be surprised when you get weird leaves in a year or two.
So let me ask you, when you said a year or two, so it was almost 2 years where nothing happened? Like the bulb just sat down in the ground and did nothing for 2 years?
Pretty much.
Huh.
Probably what happened was it was like one whole year, and then there were a few leaves, and it didn't really build up. You know, I've got a big garden, and it's very full. So I probably didn't notice them, but I didn't see any pink blooms for 2 years. And then all of a sudden I had a bunch of leaves. And if you leave them in the same place, they just get bigger and bigger clumps, right?
Yes.
And then eventually you just have a whole section of them. And so when you notice the blue-green, they still shock me every year in the spring when I'm cleaning out all my beds and all of the leaves and stuff, and there's all these blue-green leaves out of nowhere. And I go, what the heck are those? Every year. And then I go, oh, yeah, those are the...
Well, I've kind of figured out what they are.
I love how you do that. Yeah, okay, not me.
So I've been trying to, I have this path that kind of winds through a flower bed, and I've been trying to line the path with these so that, you know, you'll walk through a sea of resurrection lilies.
Is it working?
It is. I've got some really nice sized clumps. And so this spring I wanted to dig and divide them a bunch more, but it was so wet. I dug some, took them to my nephew's new house, planted them, and they said they haven't seen flowers yet. And then I dug some and sent them to Kathy, our friend up in upstate New York. She was going to see if they were hardy enough for her, so she was going to grow them. But if you dig and divide them, I like to dig and divide them when they're in the green, so to speak, when they have the leaves.
Yes, that's when I move them.
You dig it up and you're thinking, oh my gosh, look at all the bulbs. And you just very carefully separate them and then plant them out, and they will do just fine.
Yeah, because they don't really like to be moved, so they kind of fuss a little. But then they do okay. I have some up by a big old oak tree, and then I have some in my lower garden. And I used to have some in a different place, but then I put a Kodiak black shrub there. So then I moved them up to the oak tree. And they like that spot. And I like them in just a little shade because in our heat down south, they tend to last longer if they get a little bit of shade, especially in the afternoon. Both kinds, red and pink.
And the resurrection lily, to me, I always think of it as an old-fashioned flower because I often find it in older landscapes. And I got mine from a friend of a friend had just bought a house, and he said, can you go over there and tell her what she's got? And I said, oh, okay. These are surprise lilies. Hey, we should probably dig and divide these, and I'll take a couple of them. And that's how I literally started with like 3 bulbs, and I probably have 15 good-sized clumps in my garden now.
I bought mine from Old House Gardens. That's where I got mine from, both kinds.
A great place to buy bulbs like that.
Yeah, because if you want an old-fashioned bulb, and by the way, Old House Gardens doesn't sponsor this podcast, but if they want to, they're welcome to. We buy from them a lot. They are very good to garden writers, very, very sweet to us. And I've bought a lot of things from them, especially old-fashioned plants. And these are both very old-fashioned plants.
Right. And another great source is Brent and Becky's bulbs. We'll put a link to them as well. They've got several different varieties, but mostly around here, it's the pink ones. And it's
Why is that?
Because I don't think people are like wildly breeding naked ladies / resurrection lilies to try to get all different colors for us.
No, I mean, why don't you guys plant the radiatas?
The radiata is not hardy here. It would die.
That's what I was trying to get you to say, Carol.
Why didn't
They're
you
not
just say, I've got 2 kinds and you got 1?
Because I'm not a show-off. No, I'm just kidding. The radiata are only hardy to zone 7. And that is not Carol's zone. Ha ha.
No. Ha ha ha. Well, here's another interesting thing. With old-fashioned flowers, I drive by this vacant lot, which is on my way to church. It's on the corner. And always this time of year, I look over, and in the middle of this lot is a big clump of the resurrection lilies. The rest of it,
wow.
It's kind of interesting because they do tend to mow it, but whoever's mowing must see those come up, or there must be some bricks or rocks in that location, because I always see this nice clump come up.
You want to take those, don't you? But you don't.
I don't, because you're not allowed to just go onto strange people's properties and vacant lots.
Things.
No, you're not allowed to do that.
Oh, really? Okay.
No. Yeah.
But in your heart of hearts, I know you want to take them because you don't think they get enough, help. Are you going to talk about the other kind of Lycoris that neither one of us grows?
Well, neither one of us grows this springerii or springerii or the aurea, which is a yellow color. I can't grow them because I don't think they're hardy here.
Right.
So you're not growing them just because?
I don't know, because I never really thought about them, and I've got a full garden. That could be it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we should also mention there's another plant that's often referred to as naked ladies or resurrection lilies, and that is Amaryllis belladonna. And if you compared the pictures side by side, you'd see the differences. It's also only hardy to zone 7. And we'll put a link. The Pacific Bulb Society has a real nice page where they have the Lycoris on the one side and the Amaryllis on the other side. And so they do like a line-by-line comparison of everything.
Of what they are. Mm-hmm. That's also called Jersey lily, that particular one. Amaryllis belladonna.
Huh, interesting.
Yep. I also wanted to say that Lycoris is, this is according to the Missouri Botanical Garden, its genus is named after the mistress of Mark Antony, I guess before he slept with Cleopatra. And of course, it naturalizes by bulb offsets, and it only needs moderate water in summer after the leaves die back and before the flower stems emerge. Well, mine's on drip irrigation, and yeah, it gets moderate water because of that. People confuse the leaves. I don't know how they confuse the leaves with daffodil leaves, but they do. I guess when the daffodil leaves fall over, but you don't want to remove those leaves. You want to let them die back exactly like you do daffodil leaves so that all the energy goes into the bulb. And Lycoris leaves are much more rounded than daffodil leaves, and I would say they're wider and they're bluer. So yes, I don't know how people would mix those up, but there you go.
People don't look closely at stuff in their gardens, and so they just see a bunch of strappy leaves and think those are my daffodils. And it's like, no, those are your surprise lilies.
And they probably also think those are messy. Let me pull them out. And don't do that because it's hard on the bulbs. You do need to kind of keep track on where these are planted because you don't want to dig them up accidentally. Well, because there's a long period where there's no leaves or stems. So.
Yeah, and the nice thing is you can, you talked about semi-shade, and some people plant them around big foliage plants like hostas. And so when the hosta is just emerging, that clump of leaves is there, and then it dies down, and the hostage foliage tends to hide the dying foliage. And then in the middle of summer or late summer, up come these blooms. And up at Newfields, which is our art museum, they've got this huge area of hostas that has the resurrection lilies planted in it. And the horticulturalists there always laugh because around this time of year, when those things are blooming, people always want to know, where do I get the pink blooming hostas? And it's like, it's two different plants. Two different plants, people. But they just see that stem come up and, it doesn't have leaves of its own, so it must be from the hostas.
No. But I can see how that would happen too. I do.
So that's our flower, the surprise lily, resurrection lily, magic lily, or naked ladies, Lycoris, or as you want to pronounce it the other way.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so moving on to our vegetable. It's one of my very favorite vegetables, and I have a quote for it.
Go for it.
I ate eggplant constantly with garlic and honey, eggplant with spaghetti, eggplant with fried onion, and Chinese plum sauce. Laura Calder, author of French Food at Home. And we actually got that quote from, I think it's called Dining with an Eggplant or something like that, which is all about people eating alone. I cannot imagine eating eggplant with garlic and honey. And I do love honey, but I don't know.
That seems rather bizarre.
It just doesn't sound very good. I love eggplant, and I love that in French and also in the English gardens, they call it aubergine, which is the name of the color, that dark eggplant color in American English. But for some reason, we call these eggplants, which is just a bad name. It's like calling milkweed a weed, you know?
Right. There is a variety of eggplant, which is a little white eggplant, which looks kind of like an egg.
Yeah, but most eggplants don't look like eggs. So I don't know where that came from, except for, who knows, maybe it was back when somebody saw a white eggplant. But you can grow so many different varieties of eggplant, and I try to grow many of them in my garden. I grow the ones that, not this year. This year I did all Asian, and I did do a small white variety, and also a small Italian variety that makes little bitty fruits. So I don't really like the great big fruits. I think they're bitter, and they take forever.
Black Beauty is the oldie but goodie, and you can pick those a little bit smaller, and they are less bitter.
Right. If you could, yeah. And I would say definitely do that. Pick eggplants when they're very, very shiny, and they've grown to whatever size you want them. And they aren't green, like on the end, you'll see them and they're real green. That's not when you want to pick them. You want that to be kind of a white color most of the time, and a really pretty purple or pink if it's Rosa Bianca, or white. And then you want it to still look shiny, because when it goes to that really dull, that's when it starts getting bitter and also just isn't very good. There's also a green eggplant too.
Yeah, the other one, Burpee has a variety that came out a couple of years ago that they call meatball, and it's a very dense, heavy eggplant. It looks kind of like Black Beauty, but it's a little bit, I'd say, squattier. Doesn't have as much seed, and they say it is less bitter. And so they almost sell it. You could use it as a meat substitute if you wanted to make meatless patties. I was going to say if you wanted to make hamburger patties out of meatloaf, but it didn't seem right to say. But if you wanted to grind it up and add some nice spices and stuff, you could make a patty out of it and cook it like you would a hamburger.
And people also use it with nuts, especially vegans. They use it with nuts, and it does make a really good meat substitute. But I like them because they are velvety and delicious. And I grow, like this year, seriously, I grew tomatoes, eggplant, and peppers. Now, I also had a bunch of herbs, but I grew green beans and cucumbers too. But for the most part, I mean, let me think of how many eggplant plants I have. I have 8, which in my small garden is a lot.
That is a lot. I have 2, which for me is a lot. I just like to slice it and fry it. And we've talked about that, how you fried it with just a little olive oil, and you said it was very, very delicious.
Yeah, and I don't even put any, because we eat low carb most of the time now, I don't even put any flour on it. So I just get a little oil in the pan, and I get it really, really hot, and then I put the eggplant in there and let it sit until it kind of chars on that side, and I flip it, and I do that several times, and it comes out as good as when I used to fry it with oil. And I do that with Asian eggplants because they're small, and you can chunk them up into really small pieces, and they don't have a lot of seeds. So that's my advice on, I do eggplant a lot of different ways, but that's one of the best ways. And one of the best varieties of eggplant in that Asian class is fairy tale. Have you ever grown fairy tale?
I haven't grown fairy tale, but I have heard of Hansel and Gretel, which are 2 varieties, which probably are in the same group.
Yes, yes, in fact, they're both all-American selections. I'm looking at them right now online. Hansel and fairy tale are both purple. Fairy tale has kind of a speckles on it, and Hansel is pure purple. And then if I remember right, I'm growing Gretel, but she's just sitting there doing nothing, but she's white. She is a white one. And there's so many varieties now. There are little tiny small Italian ones, and you can get a lot of these seeds at Johnny's Selected Seeds.
Right. We'll put a link to that. So that was my next question. So I rarely grow my eggplant from seed. I just go buy a plant because I just buy Black Beauty or whatever. No. So you actually buy seeds to get all the varieties that you want.
Yes, because I don't want Black Beauty. I think Black Beauty is highly overrated. I think it's not very good. I've grown it in the past, but now, it's so easy to start eggplant seeds. The main thing you have to remember is just to put a warming mat underneath them. They are a seed that absolutely requires it. And you can buy warming mats at your local nursery, or you can find them on, the big online store. And I've got some big ones, and I just put them under trays. And if you do that, those seeds will just pop right up out of there. And you'll have plants in no time. Just do them when you start your tomatoes.
Right. About 8 weeks before your frost-free date, because eggplant do not tolerate frost at all.
No, they're just like tomatoes and peppers. And that's why they work so well in my garden, is because it's hot. It's hot and dry. And where are they from? A lot of times they're from the Mediterranean. So they like hot and dry. They're wonderful plants.
Do you have problems with flea beetles on the leaves?
I have terrible problems with flea beetles on the leaves. I said on the knees, on the leaves. Yes, I do. And I fight them all summer, and there's different things you can do, but mostly I just spray them off really hard with water because I go out there every day and I water my pelargoniums anyway, so I spray them then. But you can cover them. You can spray them with neem. What else do you do for flea beetles?
Well, the thing that I found quite by accident is that if I waited into the first week of June and then planted my eggplant, it seems like they don't get attacked as vigorously.
I think that's true.
You still get a few, but since neither one of us wants to use any pesticides in our garden, it's one of those things that I have never lost an entire plant to flea beetles. So like you said, if you just keep spraying them off and telling them to go away, that's sometimes all you need to do.
I think there's some other things too, but I'll be honest, I didn't research it real hard because that's all I do to mine. I used to spray them more with neem early in the season because you can't spray neem after a certain temperature, like 90 degrees. But if you wait, I'm going to say that they grow faster because they don't get hit with those early snaps, And I put mine out. I put mine out after I put out my tomatoes.
Yeah, they like it hot.
They do. They like it hot.
So, we both like eggplant, but you grow a lot more of it than I do.
I do. I grow a lot of eggplant because I really love eggplant, and it's really hard to find good in the store. And my theory about vegetable gardening is only plant those things that you really like to eat that are hard to get good in the store, because I go to the store anyway. So a lot of things are pretty good in the store. Carrots, I did grow carrots this year, and they did turn out great. But for the most part, I grow things that I just can't get good in the store. And think about it, all the eggplant in the store is kind of old. It's kind of like turnips. They're old.
Yeah, it is. They're not very good. Not very good at all. All right.
Tomatoes in the store? Yeah. Right?
So for our listeners who have never grown eggplant, you must now make a note to yourself to order seeds for the eggplant varieties you want to try. You need to figure out 8 weeks or so before your frost-free date, which for me would be around May 15th. Get you a seed mat, get you some seeds, some good seed starting mix, which is sterile, and then sow those seeds and plant them next year.
Yeah, I just use sterile potting soil, and I don't even use like a seed mix anymore because it floats too bad. But all those things. I was going to say one thing that I almost forgot.
What?
I bought grafted eggplants this year.
Oh,
remember?
yes.
When I bought the grafted tomatoes, I bought 2 grafted eggplants. They've done absolutely nothing. I've not gotten a single fruit off of them, and they have not they have not grown any better. I will say that my grafted tomatoes have been great, but my grafted eggplant, not impressed. So I will just start seeds for those. I wanted to try it.
Well, that's what gardening's about sometimes. You got to try it.
So let's move on to the dirt.
The dirt. So, Dee, I got this book and I got a review copy of it. It's called The Posy Book, Garden-Inspired Bouquets That Tell a Story by Teresa, and I apologize if Teresa ever listens to this, Sabankaya.
I think that's right. I think it's Sabankaya. I got the book too.
So
it's wonderful.
I went down a huge rabbit hole with this book.
Did you?
Yes. I loved it. There's history of posies, and a posy is basically a small, tightly held together bouquet of flowers. Usually there's a ribbon tied around the stems to hold it. Mm-hmm. And the Victorians would give posies to one another, but all the flowers had meanings. So if they gave you a particular flower, it had a particular meaning. And so she's done the research on all that. She's got beautiful pictures of posies.
It is beautiful.
A whole new dictionary of the meanings of different flowers. And then I got all excited. I went out to her website. She's a beautiful website. And she has downloadable tags that you can use to write a little sentiment or write what the flowers mean and attach it to the bouquet when you give it to somebody.
That is so cool.
And, she's on Instagram, so I'm following her on Instagram now. And I was excited because she was already following me, so I followed her back.
Well, that's cool.
Plus, she's got another website called The New Language of Flowers. And you can go in and you can say whether the flowers are for a particular occasion, or you want to express a particular sentiment, or you want to know what the meaning of a particular flower is. You can just put any of those in and up pop up some choices.
That is really cool. I just looked at her website, and I just followed her on Instagram while you were talking about her. Yeah, I love this book. I read it, and it is beautiful. It is not just a book for gardeners, people. It's a book for anybody who likes flowers or wants to send someone a bouquet. It would make a great, I know it's not the right time of year, Valentine gift, birthday gift, any kind of gift for teachers, because it has education in it. I mean, it's a really, really beautiful and good book, and I was very impressed.
And I looked up something. So, Dee, if someone gives you a posy bouquet and it has wild licorice in it, it means I declare against you.
Wow.
And if they give you a bouquet that has nuts in it, and I'm thinking, what nuts? Like, would you pick up like peanut leaves or something? That means stupidity. And
wow.
I don't know why I was drawn to like
the mean ones.
Here's a lovely bouquet of flowers. It means something mean. But I did look up, she has Naked Lady listed, and she has the Amaryllis belladonna instead of the Lycoris, but same thing. Mm-hmm. And it means pure loveliness, or I dream of you, or you are a dream.
Interesting. I like it. I think that's cool.
So then I thought, and I might go out and make this bouquet. I thought, what's blooming in my garden now that I would make a bouquet, and what message would I be sending to somebody if I gave it to them? So here's what I wrote down. I have this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous red zinnia. It's called Holy Scarlet, and I have never seen it so red. And red zinnias mean constancy. And then I might put some hosta leaves around it, and they mean devotion. And I could add some sprigs of mint, which would be warmth of feeling. And then I could add marigold, which means comforts the heart. So that would be the bouquet I'd put together today. And I might do it. That's
beautiful. I love that.
I might do it and send a picture so you can post it with a link to this podcast.
I think that would be cool. Please do it. Please do it. I'd love to see it. And I have something to say on that too, which is going to surprise you because because it's not in our show notes. So while I was on her Instagram timeline, I don't think that's what it's called, but whatever. I looked up orchid because she had a picture of an orchid. And the interesting thing is the other night, on Friday night, we took our daughter out to dinner and her husband couldn't come because he was doing something else. And we came home and he said, he always calls me Madre. I don't know why, but he calls me Madre. And he said, Madre, what are those flowers up on the fireplace? And I said, oh, Megan knows. Because he asks me these questions all the time, and I don't know. I was just being ornery. And Megan goes, no, I don't know what they are. And I go, oh, for goodness sake, Megan, they're orchids, okay? And then I look up on the fireplace, and next to I have three different orchids on the fireplace. One is yellow. I'll take a picture of it. On the fireplace was a sign, and it had a date, and they were telling us that they were pregnant and going to have a baby. And so what is special about this is that orchid means matronly grace, which I did not know.
Isn't
that cool?
Really, really, really super cool. That's cool. Very cool.
And it was a yellow orchid, so they didn't know what they were doing, but that's awesome. That was the best posy ever.
They could not have picked a better flower to put that sign by. That is awesome.
So I'll share that picture on Instagram because I have a picture of it, obviously, and then people will wonder about it. Yeah. And maybe they'll come listen to the podcast and hear our story.
Well, so Flowers Have Meaning and this book is called the Posy Book, Gardener-Inspired Bouquets That Tell a Story. And like you said, it's not just for gardeners. If you're somebody who just likes to go to the florist and pick up flowers and make your own little bouquet or a posy, this would be a great book because there's instructions. They'll guide you towards which flowers to pick up, depending on the message you want to give. And then do go out and follow her Instagram because it is lovely.
It is beautiful. And also, I was going to say, buy the book and take the instructions to your florist. She's a florist.
Yes.
And so that's how she got interested in all of this. And believe me, every florist I know loves the meaning of flowers. I haven't met one that doesn't love the meaning of flowers, seriously. So if you take this book to them and it's not just really weird things, they're going to have trouble finding wild licorice. But nobody wants to send that message anyway. So say you want some roses and some carnations and some different things, they can put that together for you, and they know how to make posies. And so you don't even have to do it yourself. And what a lovely gift. You could do a posy with the Posy Book.
Right. And on her website, she has downloadable flower tags that are just adorable. And you can download. She's got some that are free and then some that are for sale. But you could download the ones you want, and then you could write the message, and then you can write what the flower is and what it means. And here's what I would do, Dee.
What, Dee?
If I liked a particular flower, but I didn't like the meaning that the Victorians had or the meaning that she came up with, I would just give it a new meaning.
Me too.
I'd do that.
Me too. I can see you doing that. So can. And this whole topic made me so happy today. Thank you.
It is a happy topic, and it's a great book, and I am thrilled to have it.
Me too.
This is going to go sit out someplace where if you just need a few minutes of inspiration, you can pick up this book. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, mine sits in my kitchen shelf. It's in my kitchen shelf right behind the picture of my Grandma Nita and her tomatoes. That's where mine is.
Right. And we're going on. And so, Dee, we get a lot of books to review, and we set them aside. And so this one really touches me. I love this one. Keep her.
Yeah, it's a great book for many reasons. So, everybody, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We can't believe we're up to episode 41, and we so appreciate all of your notes and comments that you send us, and we do try to answer everyone. You can reach us at thegardenangelists@gmail.com. We're on Facebook as The Garden Angelists, Instagram as The Garden Angelists. We are also both on both of those individually under our blog names, so you can find us that way. And Carol's under Indie Gardener on Instagram, and we're all on Twitter. And did I miss anything?
I think you got it all. If you cannot find us on the web, you're not really trying.
No. I'm at the point now where people ask me a question. They go, now, what is your blog? And I just say, search my name, and it'll come right up. That's the easiest way.
That's right. All right. Well, I love chatting with you over the garden gate today, Dee. It was such a pleasure.
It was here, too. I hope everybody has a great week.
All right. Bye now.
Bye.